Welcome everyone to the Service-Based Business Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Moreland, and today on episode 10, we're going to be talking about 20, plus bonus, 20 service-based business ideas that you guys can start. Now, when I was thinking about this list, coming up with this list, one thing that I did want to just kind of keep in mind is that a lot of these are fairly low barrier to entry businesses. They're not like, for example, a dentist office. Dentistry, although technically you're providing a dentist service, that kind of thing isn't on this list because that you got to go to school and there's a whole bunch of there's a lot with that, right? And some of these are ones that you might need, really need license. Of course, like all of them, you need to have a legit business and such, right? But some of them are more, you might require more schooling than others, but I did want to keep them fairly low, barrier to entry businesses. So with all that in mind, we're gonna get right into it. And the first thing I kind of want to go over is why you would start a service-based business, specifically as opposed to a product-based business. Kind of, I guess it's not really comparing the two, but kind of. Anyways, so one thing with the service-based business is that you can start out as a solo operator. Your operation can start on a small scale. You don't need, to contact suppliers to try and get a product or a prototype of a product. Like you don't have to, like if you have if you come up with some idea, sure you might, depending on what it is, you might be able to easily come up with a prototype or potentially even produce the thing all yourself, right? It all depends upon what the product is. But other things are going to be much more difficult to do. If you are starting, I don't know, if you're going to make a new kind of toothpaste, all right, you're going to make some new toothpaste and you don't really maybe you have a little bit of knowledge about toothpaste or something, I don't know, right? But like, even if you're not like an expert, even if you are an expert, like creating your own toothpaste and like producing your own toothpaste is not super easy to do. I at least would think. I mean, sure, you can make a handcrafted kind of toothpaste, right? But like if you're going to compete with like Crest, like it's going to be hard, right? And so with the service-based business, you don't have to go out and contact like suppliers and try to get prototypes and so you don't have to do so much of that. So it's really easy to start by yourself and start your operation small. And kind of the flip side of that coin of, okay, so all right, so I don't have to go out and like, get supply as much and manage inventory as much. The flip side of that is that you have to learn two skills. You have to know your service skill and you have to know the business skills. With product-based business, a lot of it is going to be the business skills. You're not going to have to, you're not providing a service, so you don't have to have these service skills. And some service skills, we'll talk about it as we go through this episode, are easier to, they're easier to get started with than others. Some are more difficult, but that's kind of the flip side of that coin. One thing that I also really like about service-based businesses is that you have a lot of control over your scaling. And what I mean by that is that if you are a product, let's say you have like a water bottle, okay? Like you have a water bottle that you're out there and you're producing and you're marketing it on TikTok. If you can all of a sudden get tons and tons and tons and tons of orders for your product. You don't have as much, you do have control, granted, you do have control over that, but you don't have as much control over how much work you're going to get on on getting overloaded. It's easier to get overloaded with that. And you don't always have, you might have to come home one night and you just have to do work. But with a service-based business, you have more flexibility to work it into your already busy schedule. So it's kind of easier to start as like a side hustle with a service-based business, I think, is the kind of main thing I'm trying to say here as well, is that you already have your schedule for the week. But if you only have something going on, one night during the week, then you can set those things up or set up your jobs or whatever to be during that time that you already have. It's free, like when you're starting out, right? And then, yeah, like you have that control, which is versus with a product-based business, you might not have as much of that control because you've got to go ship things out, or you've got to do this, you got to do that, right? And so that is just something to keep. That's I guess a benefit, if you ask me, of having like a service-based business. Number 1, landscaping. All right, I talk about landscaping all the time. It's what I do. All right, so what are you gonna be doing with landscaping? Kind of just a summary of things is lawn care. That's mowing lawns, fertilizing, aerating, whatever, that kind of stuff. Lawn maintenance, right? That you can have other things as well that you're doing, such as snow removal. You can do tree care, trim bushes, things of that nature. Spread mulch, garden beds, leaf cleanups, right? All those things tie into landscaping, as well as on the the top end of things, of course. As you begin to scale and build your business, you can do things like legitimate landscaping as well. Some nice things about landscaping is that the skills when you're starting off, if you're starting off like with lawn care, you're starting off mowing lawns, it's pretty easy to start, and you might already know how to mow the lawn, right? If you're starting from absolute zero, the financial barrier to entry is also pretty affordable, considering you can start for less than $500 if you really, try. Like, you might want to have a little bit more than $500 to start, but you could start with less than $500, and chances are, like, you already have some of the stuff that you need to start a landscaping business. You might already have a lawnmower and a weed whip and a leaf blower. That's literally like the 3 things you need, and like gas cans. All right, like chances are you have some of those things, and if you don't, you can get them all for fairly cheap used on a place like Facebook Marketplace. So that's one of the nice things about landscaping, is that you can get started for very cheap. With that landscaping, there's also a large community of people with knowledge and experience. So there's always more stuff that you can learn. All right, item number 2, we have got a barber service. Now, this is one of those ones that you are probably going to want to go to school. You might need to I want to say you need to go to school to get a barber's license, but it's a service-based business. I believe that schooling is a year or 2 for getting a barber's license, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. I really don't know, but I don't believe it's like a super long program. On top of that, there are ways to start that don't involve, at least get a start, that aren't straight up going to school, and you can kind of side hustle your way a little bit. You can start cutting your friends' and family's hair, if they'll let you, for free, but you can start to build those skills already. And if you, probably you can charge, friends of friends or whatever for haircuts when you're, starting out. You can go drive mobile barber, go drive to their house, cut their hair, stuff like that. Kind of side hustle your way there. With that, again, like, I think you do have to go to school of some kind or get at least a barber's license to do it, technically business legally. But, when you're hustling, right? So if that's something that, I know that cutting hair interests a lot of people. So, if that's something that interests you, then it is, it's a service-based business. It's something you can start. If it's something you think, I might be interested in that, you can dig a little further and see if that is something that you might want to do. All right, at number 3, we have got a car detailer. Now, with car detailing, there's a little bit higher cost to entry in kind of 2 ways. First of all is expenses. Like, you're going to want, probably a good vacuum. You're going to need a good power washer. You're going to need, all your soap buckets, hand tools, I guess. Like sponges and brushes, whatever, that kind of stuff. And as well, you're definitely going to want to build up the skills needed for detailing before you go and start working on a client's car. Like, you're definitely not, lawn mowing. Like, you can probably get away with having very little experience. Same thing with barber. You can probably get cutting hair. I don't know why I said barber. With cutting hair, you can probably get away with not having quite a lot of experience. It's a simple job, right? If you're just like giving someone a buzz cut, don't take that much skill, right? But with detailing, you don't want to mess up somebody's car. Same thing with cutting hair. You can really learn by using your friends and family and offering, for free to, detail their car. And that can be a way that you can learn how to do that. And you can kind of as well build up some of those skills. If you want to get better at, vacuuming or something, you can probably do that by practicing vacuuming pieces of furniture around your house or something, right? So there are other ways as well that you can improve that. But yeah, car detailing, again, make sure you practice a lot before you go and do that, because you don't want to mess with somebody's car, scratch their paint and whatnot. That would not be good. Number 4, we have got photography. Photographer. One of the nice things about photography is that for probably a lot of people, it might be a skill that you already have. You might already take a lot of pictures, on your phone. And it's pretty easy to build a portfolio. Again, same thing that I'm going to repeat throughout this episode and on almost every single one of these things, is that you can start off by side hustling it and doing it. Not even so much side hustling, but doing it for free for people that you know, for friends and family. Go, they have a wedding or some other event going on, or just, you can even offer just to go and do a photo shoot with your friends. Use your phone, take some good pictures, go home, edit them and stuff, make them look all nice as if they were for a client, and you can build up a portfolio pretty good. You can start an Instagram page or a website, whatever, build up a portfolio, and bam, you are doing photography. So photography is definitely one where if it's something that you're good at, something you enjoy doing, that is, it's again low cost entry too, because you can probably start with nothing but your phone camera and like Adobe, which is like $50 a month, I want to say. So definitely a good thing. Another thing too, if you're like a teenager with photography, is that I think a lot of schools probably have photography clubs, or they have like the yearbook, committee or club, whatever. I don't know exactly what word, but my school, for example, the kids who do help with the yearbook, their cameras that they get to go and take pictures of people and stuff. And so if that was something that someone was interested in doing, as photography, that'd be a great way to go and learn from other people. Lots of people like to take pictures, so there's always stuff to learn when it comes to photography. Photography is not my strong suit, especially if you ask certain people. They say that I do not take good pictures. I take beautiful pictures, for the record. But yeah, photography. All right, for number 5, I kind of lumped 2 together, which is going to be a fairly common thing I talk about, or a fairly common theme throughout some of these. Is I kind of just lumped some together, which I guess is, if you ask me, a benefit, because then you guys technically get more ideas I'm spitting here. But anyways, with designer, I kind of have web and graphic designers. With a graphic designer, you're going to be creating things like logos. You might be creating infographics or something of that, something of that nature, right? Or just creating pictures, whatever. Your graphic designer. And then, of course, web designers are going to be building websites, right? With this, I also think it is easy to create a portfolio. You can just create things for fun, and that way you can build up a portfolio of your work. And, of course, it's also pretty low cost entry. Like, if you are artistic and you're good at drawing and stuff, you can start somewhat with just a pen and paper, and eventually, you get a little money. You can invest a little money into, buying Adobe and doing it all online and stuff, right? And I'm just going to continue with what I was going to say. I second guessed myself for a second. I was like, graphic design, like real design, graphic design. Anyways, long story short, you can transfer those skills over to online, to graphic design, and, work for friends. I know I've got like a friend of mine right now who's doing some graphic design work for me. So yeah, it's a really good thing. Similar things with web design. Web design, it's maybe a little harder to create like a portfolio of your work until you start working, but web design is nice. Same thing with graphic design. You can do them anywhere. There are online services that you can offer, and so I think they definitely have that benefit as well in them. All right, number 6, we have got consulting. Now, this is a different one because this is one where it's more going to be towards people who are very knowledgeable in a specific industry, right? If you have been in, I don't know, let's say the marketing industry for, you've been doing marketing for a company for, 10, 15, 20 years, you know what you're doing when it comes to marketing, but you want to get out on your own and, stop working that 9 to 5 per se, a consulting agency might be a good route for you because you're going to be very knowledgeable about that topic, especially if it's like, okay, you've been working with the same company, maybe you know a lot about marketing cars. Now, that might not be a very great example. Let's say drinks, because I feel like there's more drink brands out there than car brands. So let's say you're very knowledgeable about like marketing, like beverages, right? And so you can go out, be a consultant. You can start working with other, smaller beverage companies, and help them with their marketing. You're sharing your expertise about that subject, about that topic. Again, that can be super niche, that can be broader, and you're gonna help those businesses to grow. And so I definitely feel like consulting could definitely be pretty fulfilling. If you are with you work with a brand and you continue to work with them for a while, and you get to see them grow, and a lot of that is going to be because of the things that you helped them with. So if you already have a lot of knowledge about something, a consulting agency or being a consultant is probably a pretty good route for you to go if you're looking to start your own business. All right, number 7 is going to be repair service. Now, a repair service is kind of a broad, it's a very broad topic, but basically what I'm saying here is if you're knowledgeable about a certain thing, maybe it's phones, maybe it's keyboards, maybe it is computers or watches, appliances, cars, maybe it's furniture, right? If you're really knowledgeable about a certain kind of object, a repair service might be a way that you can actually make some money. And, with that, okay, my computer's broken. Okay, well, I know a lot about computers. People can bring their their thing to you, their computer or whatever the case may be, whatever the object might be, and of course you can repair those. Kind of another way that you can make money building off of that is with restorations. It depends upon what you are doing. But I think about, let's say it's some old washer or something, right? Like say you're a washer repair person, or like a washing machine, right, for your clothes. And so you can, I don't know, maybe you find someone has some old washer and you can restore it. And that's a great example of how you can make a little extra money sometimes too with that knowledge that you're gaining from that repair service that you have. And I think I kind of like touched on it, but didn't like specifically say. This includes like a mechanic. Like if you want to be a mechanic, that is kind of lumped into the repair service category. So if you're knowledgeable about a certain object or kind of object or a certain thing, right, then a repair service might be then a repair service might be a really good option for you. With that might come, I did want to put this in here, but I didn't really want to put it by itself because it was very specific. Is when I think like desktop computers. There's lots of people out there who love to build PCs, but one thing you can do is you could be like a PC builder. I'm sure there are other ways or other things that applies to that kind of a building things for people, but I didn't really know what else to put besides. There's nothing else I could think of besides PCs, so I'm kind of lumping that into the repair services because it's all pretty similar. So there is that. I guess like a car shop as well. Like maybe you do like exhaust mods or something along those lines where you're installing it or whatever. So I guess that does kind of count as well. Number 8 is going to be trades. This is really good if you already, of course, are knowledgeable in a trade, and you want to do independent work. Some examples of this might be maybe you're plumbing or carpentry or welding, and you can go out and you can start doing that for like clients. I think plumbing is kind of the one this best applies to, but the same thing can be applied to other trades, I feel like, as well. Such as, ones I listed: carpentry, welding. I'm sure there are other. Those are kind of like the three big trades I thought of for this, but yeah, trades, you can turn that into your own smaller service business where you're just going out, you're finding, of course, you're working with clients and doing jobs for clients as opposed to working for another company. All right, number 9. For this one, I've kind of mashed two together, but I thought they were similar enough to be one, and that is going to be pressure washing as well as window washing. Okay, they're really not that they're somewhat similar. So anyways, for these two, skill is really important. It's pretty important that you know what you're doing, and insurance as well. Having like insurance, especially with pressure washing, like having insurance, business insurance, is definitely really important. With pressure washing, you'll be washing things like like sidewalk, paths, patios, siding on houses as well. You may be washing with the pressure washing, and of course pressure washing, if you don't know, you don't want to break things. So of course if you do break something, that's why the insurance is important, right? Window washing kind of ties into that a little bit, where you can go out and you wash people's windows. And again, skill is important for that because you want to make sure that you're doing a really good job washing windows, or else people are going to want you to come back. And I guess that does apply to like any sort of service. You really want to make sure that you're doing a good job. But I feel like always heard that window washing, you want to be really good at window washing. So yeah, there's that. For number 10 here, we've got maids. Now, there's not really much to say about this one. If you are good at cleaning, or you like cleaning, or you, maybe you worked as a hotel kind of room, like a housekeeper, right? This is kind of that same thing where housekeeping, people who have have money might hire you to go out and clean their houses, and once, twice a week maybe. I don't know how often people have their housekeepers out, but maids, housekeepers, cleaning houses, I don't know what else to say about that. That's number 10. All right, number 11 is a little specific. It's a little specific, but it's catering, number 11. And so I think catering is definitely a great idea for someone who's already in the food industry. Rather, they are part of if you're already an established restaurant, catering could be a good way of growing your business. If you don't already do like proper catering, or if you're someone who's been in the food industry, maybe worked at restaurants and stuff, the food business a little bit, starting your own like catering company is not a bad idea. I guess I'm not sure how well catering companies on their own do, but it's definitely a great way for someone who, someone can add extra revenue to their restaurant or to their food business. All right, number 12, and I'm going to add on to this one a little bit, but what I had written down originally was driveway sealing and repairing. And so with this one, people or areas, neighborhoods that have driveways, front driveways, they get cracked, they get broken, and you can repair them. For this one, you're going to need, you're going to probably want those skills first, so you know what you're doing. You're going to want to be knowledgeable about how you would repair and seal driveways. And sealing is like, when I say seal, I also mean like, applying a top seal, not even necessary for cracks and such. And, you're going to need equipment for it, which I don't believe is very cheap. So this one does have a higher cost of entry. But with this one, you can actually you could add this service to other outdoor services, which perfectly segues into what I was going to add. Straight up other outdoor services that are not landscaping, basically. If you, this can be gutters. This could be cleaning gutters, installing gutters. This could be sprinkler systems. Maybe about how to installing, maintaining sprinkler systems. I don't really know what else, but other outdoor services, that's kind of all one category there. But specifically, let's talk about driveways. All right, number 13, we've got junk removal. You can get started in junk removal. Literally, all you need is a truck and or a trailer. All right, so all you need to get started in junk removal, and a little bit of marketing, right? One of the hardest things that I've kind of, at least in my market, with a junk removal company, because I've looked into it, is finding a place to get rid of the stuff, right? If you don't have a landfill near you, that's going to be a big expense. And when you are literally nothing but a truck or a truck and a trailer, when you're pretty small, that can be a big expense going all the way out there. After that can be 25% of your profit, 25% of your income from the job can be gone on the gas you spend driving 30 minutes to the landfill. So that can really be a downside of this when you're starting out small. But I know in my area we have one or two other dumps, refuse centers, I think they're called, and they're private owned, but those, of course, you have to pay significantly more to dump your stuff. It's $50 for a pickup truck bed to be dumped there, but when you go to a landfill, it's going to be by weight, and so your cost is going to be significantly less at a place like a landfill. But of course, there's not a landfill super close to where I'm at. So a junk removal company can be, again, pretty easy to start, assuming you have, a truck or a trailer. But keep in mind, you're going to be competing with the big dogs. There are lots of big junk removal companies out there, but that does mean one thing, and that means they're scalable. You can scale that junk removal company pretty big. Think about 1-800-JUNK, bro, or whatever they're called. They're a big junk removal company, but who knows? You could be the next 1-800-JUNK. All right, number 14, we've got a septic company. With a septic company, you're going to be cleaning and pumping septic tanks. Similar to driveway sealing, you are going to need to have the equipment. The equipment is probably going to be a big expense with this kind of a business, and you're also going to need to make sure that you're not starting this where they have a proper sewer system. So, of course, you need to make sure that the market is there. This is one of those things where you're definitely going to also need not only just the equipment, but you're also going to want to make sure that you have the skills necessary to do this. It's not just something that you can easily pick up. It's a little more difficult to get into, I feel like, but of course, it can be done. All right, number 15, DJing. So DJing is really great if you're already into music. If you know music, you like music, you're passionate about music, whatever, DJing could be for you. And I feel like lots of people want to be DJs. It's another one of those businesses where you can very easily start working for family and friends for free, right? If they have parties or whatever else going on, you can offer to DJ for them. And for some people, depending upon what kind of the atmosphere is, that might be good. That might not, they might be interested in having you come do it for free, or they might not, right? But there are other ways as well that you can learn, the mixing and stuff on your own, right? And I actually have a whole episode about this with one of my friends, episode 6 of the service-based business podcast. We talk about DJing. So if you're interested in DJing and you want to learn more, that's a really great place. I recommend you go look and learn a little more. Free plug for me. All right, number 16. We have, I called it Childcare, Daycare. But I also wanted to include in this, you could do a pet daycare, pet boarding, things of that nature, kind of similar to that. So we're just going to talk about childcare, but keep in mind some of these things can be applied to animal care, for example. So with childcare, it's really great, of course, if you have experience in that industry. It's one of those ones where if you want to start your own home daycare, It's probably, I mean, you don't necessarily need to have experience, but I would say it's encouraged. You can get started at home. The one thing, of course, is you have to make sure there's a market for it. Well, with all of these, you have to make sure there's a market, but I feel like some it matters more. And this is one where I feel like it does matter a little more. Make sure there's a market for it. If you've already got tons of daycares around, it might not be the best idea. But yeah, that's number 16. Number 17, and this is kind of similar to number 18, and it's kind of actually a hybrid between product and service. But number 17 is t-shirt printing. Now, you can start this fairly easily. You make sure you have the supplies and such to do it. But you can start by making shirts for your friends and family, or for other community things you're involved in. Like, for example, if you go to church and you have like a youth group at your church, you could start by making shirts for your youth group or for a sports team that you're in, things of that nature. So if t-shirt printing, if you like if you like shirts, or you like coming up with designs and stuff of that nature, and you can start a t-shirt printing business. Number 18, I said was kind of similar to number 17, and that is a customizer. Now, that's like a weird, that's not very specific. And when I originally was thinking about this, I was thinking about shoes, like customizing shoes, but I wanted to be a little more broad with it. So this can also apply to the automotive industry, where you might go and you might do auto paint and stuff. I feel like that qualifies as customizing. Another thing you might be customizing, you could be a tailor shop or do tailoring. I feel like that's kind of again specific kind of niche, but it falls under customizing to me. So you might have other ideas for things that are considered customizing, but yeah, again, I got this inspiration. It's like sneaker customizing. This is really good if you already have knowledge about something, like if you're knowledgeable about shoes or cars or whatever. And if you're artistic, if you are good at art, you like drawing and stuff, you like painting, again, customizing shoes as an example is a really cool business. It's fun. If if you're good at art and you like shoes, it might be a no-brainer for you. All right, number 19, and this one's kind of similar to another one on this list, and that is coaching. It's kind of similar to consulting, but I thought it was different enough to give it its own number on the list. And so coaching, when I think about coaching, I'm really thinking about like being a personal trainer, fitness coaching, but as well as other kinds of coaching, not personal trainer, like business coaching, life coaching. If that's, I don't know, your jam. I don't know if people still really hire life coaches or like business coaches. I don't even know if business coaches are a real thing. I was just like thinking of things to add as like a fitness coach, like a personal trainer. But if you're knowledgeable about something and you want to teach it to others, that's another way you can do it. You know what? Coaching is different because coaching really applies to a person, whereas consulting applies to a business. So I think they're different enough. There we go. Justifying why I gave them two different numbers. There we go. And finally, number 20, we have interior remodeling and renovating. Now that is really, you might be thinking, what do you mean? And let me tell you the three specific examples I kind of thought of. Painting. And that's not necessarily interior, because you can paint outside too, right? You can paint like paint decks and stuff. But painting, if you're a painter, doing flooring, maybe redoing flooring, putting in new flooring, ripping out carpet, whatever, flooring, and ceiling as well. Doing different. I think like they had popcorn ceiling, right? So you can redo ceilings. So of course with these you're gonna need the skills necessary. You shouldn't just like up and decide you're gonna be a painter and go and get your client. Like you should develop the skills of painting. Paint some walls in your house or something, or whatever, right? Like build up those skills first, which depending on what it is might be difficult to do. But I definitely think that you can do it. Like if it's something that interests you, you could do it. For a while there, I was almost a painter, but Okay, I shouldn't say almost a painter, but like I did do a couple painting jobs throughout my life. So, yeah, if that's something you're interested in, there's that. Here's your bonus one. Technically, I'm 21. We've got a moving company. Now, if you're young, this can be, if you're young and you're just looking, maybe you've got a truck and a trailer or something, right? This can be a really great option for you. And you don't even necessarily need a truck and a trailer to do this, because sure, you can start as a moving company. Ideally, you might have like a truck or whatever, right? But I mean, one thing you can do first of all is you could rent like a U-Haul and start using a U-Haul as your moving truck, and you're help people move. Another thing with this is you don't even necessarily need that. You can literally help by being yourself and just going and lifting the stuff, putting it in trucks or putting it in the people's cars, whatever, and then they drive. You meet them there, you unload, right? With this, of course, you need to be careful. If you're, a young, strong kid, of course, like, first of all, take care of your body, all right, with this. But also, you want to make sure that you have some experience, lifting furniture and moving things, and whoever you're working with, because with this one, you're probably going to want to work with a friend or someone, right? You're going to want to work with someone else who's going to be able to help you do things. But make sure that you guys have good chemistry as well, because you don't want to drop things or break things. You want to have good communication. So you should probably work with that person at least a couple times, moving some things around before you start a moving company. But honestly, other than that, you don't need a whole lot of stuff to be a moving company. A truck, right? And of course, being young and healthy, and maybe like some moving blankets, right? But anyways, that's that. All right, so I hope you guys did enjoy that list of service-based business ideas that I had and I came up with. I did, of course, just want to really just spit ideas at you guys. If you guys are thinking about starting a business, lots of people, they want to start a business, but they might not really know what they want to do. They want a business, but they don't know, right? They maybe don't have an idea. Me, I am not someone who, when I think about any kind of business, I'm not someone who I have an invention idea. I'm going to start making that invention, right? And that's perfectly okay, But service-based businesses, you don't need to have some crazy innovative idea. You don't need that, right? So I just wanted to list out some service-based business ideas. If it's something you're thinking about starting, something you're thinking about doing. Yeah, that's all I've really got for you guys for this week. Later this week, there should be another episode dropping. Double feature this week. Gonna be episode 10.5. Because I'm not giving it technically its own full episode, but me and my friend last night, we just talked for an hour or so, and just had an amazing conversation. And it's gonna be a podcast episode because he wanted to come on the podcast, and it's not really service-based business related, but I don't really care. And I explained why in that video. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one later this week, actually. So, peace.